Hey, real quick, before we dive into today's episode, if you've been feeling like your brand needs a little love, but you're not quite sure where to start, I have just the tool you need. The Standout Brand Audit Bot is an AI-powered guided audit that shows you exactly what's working, what's not, and how to strengthen your brand using my proven Standout brand system. In 10 minutes or less, you'll walk away with clear next steps to move your brand forward with purpose. It's completely free. Just head to the show notes to grab the link and get started. Your logo is not the most important part of your visual brand. I went down this rabbit hole with my friend Brannon on last week's guest episode, and we're going to talk about it again today because the real thing that I think is the most important part of your visual brand is your brand photos. Sounds weird coming from me, a brand designer, right? Your photos are so powerful because they humanize your brand, they build trust super quickly, they create an immediate connection, and they communicate more than any other graphic element of your brand possibly can. In today's episode, we are going to talk about why photos are the most important part of your visual brand and what I, as a brand strategist and designer, want you to know before you do your brand photo shoot. Plus, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes of how I am prepping for my own brand photo shoot happening here in a couple of months and how you can get a free brand photo shoot by working with Spect & Co. Welcome to the Six Figure Brand Podcast, where each week we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to build a six-figure business as an online service provider. I'm your host, Morgan. I'm a branding expert, online agency owner, mom of two, and military spouse, and I'm obsessed with helping entrepreneurs like you understand the ins and outs of branding so that you can use it to grow your business without sacrificing your sanity. Whether you're just starting out or focused on scaling, we're diving into everything you need to build a profitable and sustainable online business. Let's get to it. When someone lands on your website or your Instagram or your LinkedIn or receives an email from you, what's the first thing that they connect with? It's probably not your color palette or the fonts that you use or even your logo, assuming that your logo is even on the page. They connect with your face, your body language, your expression, the energy that you exude in your brand photos. This is why photos are arguably the most important part of your visual brand. Good brand photos help to humanize your brand, build trust quickly, make people feel like they know you, and create an immediate connection. You have heard the phrase, people connect with people, and that is true. They don't connect with graphics. They don't connect with color palettes. They buy from people who they know, like, and trust. And having really solid and authentic brand photos is the quickest way that you can fast track that no phase. To contrast, a brand with a really gorgeous logo and beautiful custom fonts and great colors that either uses stock photos or no photos feels cold and corporate and distant, and to me kind of says that they are trying to make up for the fact that they don't have good photos by going really over the top with their branding. Conversely, a brand that has really great, really authentic photos that allow me to feel like I know you as an audience, those take the center stage, and the rest of your brand can be simpler because the focal point is your photos, and those are what's doing the heavy lifting. I know that for the last year or so, the faceless Instagram account has become like a big thing, and I want you to honestly ask yourself, would you ever buy something from one of those faceless accounts? I doubt it. They might be fun to follow because they're create some sort of interesting content that you like, but you don't feel like you know them, you don't feel like you can trust them, and you are probably never going to give them your money. So when I say photos are the best, most important, and easiest way to build trust with your audience before you even meet them, I really mean it. I tell every client that I get on a discovery call with, I can design you the best brand in the world, but what's really going to take it to the next level is great brand photos. Now, as a brand strategist and designer, there are a few things that I want you to know before your brand photo shoot, and that's what we're going to dig into. First, brand strategy and design must come before your photo shoot. I'm going to say that again because it's so important. Brand strategy and design must come before your photo shoot. I cannot tell you how many clients have come to me for a brand design consult and have said, oh, well, I just got these photos done. Aren't they so great? And I look at them and I'm like, well, yeah, they're high quality photos. They look nice, but are they going to match with the brand that we create for you? And that kind of creates one of two problems. First, I design your brand the way that I think your brand should be designed based on your brand strategy and your ideal client and all of the things that we go through in your strategy session. And then you have photos that don't fit that, so they look really out of place on your website and in your social media. Or you love your photos so much that I, as the designer, feel constrained by that. Like I need to design a brand around these photos, even though maybe that's not what is really the best strategic move for your business. And I get it. Getting a photo shoot done feels like glamorous and exciting. People get really jazzed about it because they're ready to like step up and elevate and step into the next level version of themselves. And they don't realize, probably because they just don't know, which is why I'm here to explain it to you today, that doing that brand strategy first and having that visual direction first is going to make everything in your brand feel so much more cohesive. Otherwise, you have a brand photographer asking, oh, what's your vibe or your personality, or what color should we incorporate, or leaning on you to decide what locations you should use or what outfits to wear. You're probably not the expert in those things. And if you haven't worked with a brand strategist and designer to define all of that stuff, then it's just going to be you and the photographer kind of making it up as you go. And you'll probably end up with photos that look good because you're working with a professional designer, but do they fit your brand? Do they send the message that you're trying to send? Do they communicate the emotions that we're trying to communicate to your audience? It's kind of 50-50. So then you end up with these high quality, but sort of generic feeling photos that, again, look nice, but don't really do a lot to truly elevate your brand. When we work on your brand strategy, we talk about who are you speaking to? What energy do you want to embody? What emotions do you want to invoke? What role do you play in your client's transformation? And then we move into design, which gets into color palette, textures, visual direction. What props should you use? What location should you use? Without having that foundation first, you're just guessing. And if you don't know already, a brand photo shoot is really expensive, like into the several thousands of dollars. So it really breaks my heart whenever I see clients come to me saying, oh, I just spent, $3,000 or $5,000 on a brand photo shoot. Aren't my photos so great? And I'm kind of over here like, well, yeah, they're great, but they could have been better if you had worked with me first. So I'm going to give you some examples of specifically how brand strategy and design show up in your photo shoot. Color palette is first and foremost. If your brand colors are green and brown and cream, then you want to bring those colors into your photo shoot. I do not want to see you in a bright red power suit if sage green is your main brand color. Those are going to clash and look terrible. Similarly, if your brand colors are all neutral, like black and white, then I don't really want photos of you in front of a rainbow painted mural on a wall downtown somewhere. That is going to stick out like a sore thumb, not fit the vibe of your brand, and really look forced. And then the second part where design really can play a big part is with your props, right? So you could get a coffee mug with your logo printed on it to put on your desk in your photos. Or I have clients who get t-shirts with their logo on it if it makes sense for their business. Being able to incorporate those really intentional designed items into your photo shoot really takes your photos to the next level and makes them feel very, very, very intentional versus like kind of an afterthought. Now, strategy comes in because your ideal client and your messaging and your positioning really informs what you're doing in the photos. If you're a coach, then you probably want photos of yourself journaling on a call, maybe in like some sort of thinking pose. If you're a designer, you're going to want photos at your desk, maybe sketching something, putting together a like physical mood board on a wall. If you're a course creator, then you're probably going to want photos that feel more educational and friendly and guiding. Your brand messaging is what tells the story. Your photos are what bring that to life visually. So if we don't know that messaging and strategy piece, how is your photographer to know what type of photos you need? And then finally, your brand strategy dictates where these photos are going to be used, which I will touch on this again in a few minutes. But when we talk about brand strategy, we talk about where you can be marketing your business. Your website obviously is a given for everyone, but are you going to be on Instagram, Pinterest, in email? All of those places require different orientations of photos, different like setups, and just entirely different types of visual content. And if you don't know where you're going to be using your photos, then it's really hard to take photos that are going to fit in the places that you're going to be using your photos. So the ideal order to do all of this stuff in would be first and foremost brand strategy. So defining your brand substance, positioning, messaging, personality, then move into your visual identity, which is colors, fonts, logo, overall visual vibe. And then your photo shoot, which can really bring both of those things to life. And then we take all of that and implement it into your website, your marketing, your copy, et cetera, to really create a cohesive brand experience. When you do it in this order, your photos go such a long way to amplify your brand, rather than feeling like you have photos that you're having to like force into places that they don't fit or don't make sense, and they kind of fight against you when it comes to your brand. So that was a really long way of saying that my first and most important tip as a brand strategist when it comes to having brand photos done is do brand strategy and design first. My second tip is to show up authentically as yourself. And I know this sounds cheesy, maybe. But this is a really important piece for a couple of reasons. First, it will make you more comfortable during the photo shoot. If you show up wearing clothes that you would never wear and your hair and your makeup like super overdone when you're not a hair and makeup girl, you're going to feel awkward, and that's going to show through in your photos. So it really is about making you feel comfortable during your photo shoot so that that comes through in the photos. Second, we do not want you to look wildly different in your brand photos than you do in real life. So an extreme example of this would be for me. I show up to most of my calls in leggings and slippers and like a hoodie or a flannel, and sometimes with a baby on my lap. If my brand photos had me wearing like heels in a suit or like a ballroom gown or something really fancy, people would see that on my website and then they would get on a call with me and be like, whoa, wait a second. This does not match what I was expecting. So when you look so different in your brand photos, and I usually see this as people trying to look overly professional in their brand photos than you do in real life, then when someone meets you on Zoom, sees you speaking on a stage, runs into you in real life, I know we're in online business, but it does happen. It creates this huge disconnect and confusion, and that really, really, really erodes trust, like before you even had a chance to get to know somebody. Now, I understand the temptation here. You're spending a lot of money on a brand photo shoot. You want to look your best. You want to show up as that next level version of yourself. You have a Pinterest board full of all these aspirational photos, and everyone looks so polished and so perfect and so styled, and you think you need to look like that too. But I am telling you, you need to look like you. Do not wear something that you would never normally wear. Don't get your hair and makeup done in a way that you would never do it in real life. Don't pose in ways that feel silly and unnatural. Tell your photographer if you're like, this is not something I would ever actually do. Speak up and tell them that. Don't try to be someone that you're not. When someone sees your photos online and they love them and they book a call, it's because that's what they want when they get on a call with you. That's what they're expecting to see. So when you do show up in your brand photo shoot exactly as yourself, and I get like, I'm going to get my hair and my nails done before my brand photo shoot that's happening in May. And I'm going to probably go shopping and buy myself some new clothes, but I'm going to buy clothes that I will wear after the photo shoot in my real life. So you can be a polished version of yourself, but still be a version of yourself. Don't be a version of the model that you saw in a photo shoot on Pinterest. The other problem here is that if you do that, if you go way over the top or dress in a different way or have a photo shoot that's like just a different vibe than what your real life vibe is, they're not going to feel authentic to you. So you're probably not going to want to use them. I hate to say that because I know that you think, oh, but I'm going to look so professional and so fancy and so done up and whatever, like so beautiful. And you are, but if they don't feel like you, you're not going to want to share them online. I have seen it so many times, I can guarantee you. And then in a few months, you're going to be like, oh, I have these photos, but I don't really love them. And you probably won't know why you don't love them. But I'm telling you, the reason why you don't love them is because they don't feel like you. And then you're going to feel like you need to do a new brand photo shoot here in a few months, which is just more stress, more money, more time, and honestly, a lot of wasted effort. I think when it comes to consistency in your brand photos and like meeting somebody in real life or on Zoom, what you're going for is for someone to tell you, oh my gosh, you are exactly how I thought you would be. That is the biggest compliment that we can receive and the biggest indication that our brand overall, including our photos, is representing us in a truly authentic way. When someone gets on this Zoom call with me and is like, oh my gosh, you are exactly what I was expecting, there is no higher compliment than that. The goal of your brand photos is to make people feel like they already know you. The way that you do that is by showing up to your brand photo shoot as yourself. Maybe a polished version of yourself, an elevated version of yourself, but a version of yourself. So if you take away one thing from this episode, let it be this. Show up as you, be unapologetic about it, and let your real self and your real personality come through in your photos. The next thing that I want you to know as a brand strategist as you're getting ready for your brand photo shoot is a little more practical and a little more tangible. Simply put, get a variety of photos. A lot of people will book a photo shoot that's like short, like 1 to 2 hours, and they end up with basically just a bunch of headshots and they call it a day. Or they get a bunch of like candid, super artsy editorial type photos. And then I'm over here like, I just need one good headshot of you for your about page. And there are none. You need variety. And it's not just about like aesthetic variety. It's also about like, I need some photos where you are on the left-hand side of the frame and some photos where you are on the right-hand side of the frame, because we're going to use those in different ways on your website. So here's a very brief and non-comprehensive list of the type of photos that you should get from your photographer at minimum. First and foremost, a couple of nice headshots. These are going to get used on your about page, in your email signature, social bios, speaker profiles, etc. Ideally, I would love a couple that are smiling, a couple that are serious, a couple that are looking at the camera, a couple that are looking away from the camera. Next, I want some candid working shots. So pictures of you doing the thing that you do, writing copy, designing, photographing. If you're a photographer, believe it or not, brand photographers need brand photos also. If you're a health coach, maybe working with a client, these are going to get used in your social content and on your website. And these are what start to really create the relationship feeling and build that authority because people are seeing you do the thing that you're known for. Next is going to be the more lifestyle ones. So maybe you're not actively doing your craft, but you are drinking a cup of coffee or reading a book or walking your dog. These show more of who you are as a human being. And then finally, the photos of the details, the more stock imagery type shots. So these are great for background images, for accents, things like your hands typing, coffee sitting on your desk, if you have a special notebook that you use, some workspace details. These are the things that I think sometimes get missed and we don't think about. And you can, of course, go buy some stock photos to like mix and match with your brand photos. But if you can get your own that are unique to you, that have your own props that you actually use in real life and that nobody else on the internet is going to have, that goes a really long way to make your brand feel elevated and intentional and custom. Having this range of types of photos matters so much because your brand doesn't live in only one place. Your brand and your brand photos show up on your website in several places: social posts, email banners, podcast covers, sales pages, Pinterest pins, membership graphics, on other people's websites whenever you contribute to their podcast or their blog post or what have you. So you need something that is going to fit everywhere rather than having to recycle the same 5 photos because during your photo shoot, you only got headshots and photos of you sitting at your desk. The goal here is to create a bank of images that's going to support your content for at least the next 6 to 12 months. And you do that by having a really, really good variety. So this is something I would highly recommend that you ask your photographer when you're looking for and vetting them, and that you talk about and really strategically plan out during your brand photo shoot. Now, to piggyback on the topic of variety, I also want you to think about compositional variety. So composition means the way things are arranged in the image, right? I touched on this very briefly a minute ago, but on your website, we need photos where you are mostly off to one side and there's a lot of space on the other side because that's where we put text. Now, a good designer can sometimes like Photoshop some space into your image, but it's better if it's just built that way, to be honest with you. So I want a good mix of horizontal landscape images, vertical portrait images, and ones where you're in the middle of the frame, to the left of the frame, to the right of the frame, because that's going to give us the variety we need to really have something that fits every space on your website and your social media that we need. We also want a good variety of photos where we're zoomed in on you versus photos where we're more zoomed out and have like your full body. I always tell photographers, I can always crop an image. I can always make it a tighter shot. I can zoom in. I cannot zoom out. I can't create more space. So that's something also that's really important to keep in mind. And if you have a good photographer, I think this is something that they know, but you as the client is also something for you to keep your eye on as well. So those are the big things that I think every business owner needs to know before they do their brand photo shoot. Doing a brand photo shoot is a big milestone in your business and it's a big like celebration. I don't want to see you rush into it unprepared and then be unhappy with the result or feel like you didn't get what you needed. So now I want to talk you through what I'm doing to plan my own brand photo shoot. So in transparency, I have not done a brand photo shoot since 2018. So it has been 8 years and I do still love my brand photos, but I feel like I hardly know that girl anymore. Like that was pre-marriage, pre-kids, my husband joining the military. My life looks so much different now. And I feel like I have grown and evolved so much. And I am so ready to have photos that illustrate that. The other impetus for me finally getting my act together and getting brand photos, besides the fact that I felt a little impostery about telling clients they need brand photos and then mine are so out of date, is that I'm done having kids, at least for a little while. So I feel like physically I'm ready to like get back into that space again. Is your brand feeling a little off? Like your visuals, messaging, and your overall vibe just are not lining up with where your business is headed? You probably don't need another pretty logo. You actually need a solid strategy behind your brand. That's exactly what we'll build together inside the Standout Brand Strategy session. A one-on-one deep dive into your brand foundation so that you can finally show up with clarity, consistency, and confidence. And if you're thinking about working with Spect & Co. on branding or web design, this is your first step for every single project that we do together. Clients who have gone through this process have tripled their audience size, doubled their revenue, and raised their rates by 30% or more. Use the link in the show notes to book your session, and don't forget to enter code SFBPOD at checkout to save $100. And so, I'm really excited. I am going to be working with Workplay Branding, who is the brand photography team for online business. I'm going to link their info in the show notes, but all of my favorite online entrepreneurs and creators have worked with them. And so it really feels like a big up level for me that I get to work with them too. So with my first brand photo shoot, I just needed some decent photos. Like, that was really it. I had nothing at all. I was working with like a couple of iPhone photos and a headshot that our photographer who did my engagement photos took for me because I didn't have anything on my website. So anything was a step up from that. And how I ended up getting those photos was I did a business retreat with my coach and a couple other business owners who were working with her. And she brought in a brand photographer to take photos of all of us. So we each got like a 1-hour shoot. And that has served me very well in that time. I also have been mix and matching those photos with some stock photos that I purchased to kind of make them go a little further. And that's worked fine for me now. But I think as I'm thinking about what version of Spect & Co. do I really want to step into in 2026 and beyond, I need something more elevated, more custom, that lets people feel like they know me when they land on my website, when they see my social content. I also have found myself feeling really held back by not having enough variety of photos. Like, I'm tired of recycling the same 10 brand photos and then just filling in with stock photos. And when I look at my Instagram, it's good, but better brand photos would really take it to the next level. So as I'm planning my brand photo shoot, which is happening in May, this episode comes out in February. So we're like about 3 months out, which is a good amount of time to plan your photo shoot. Also, I didn't talk about this in my tips section, but give yourself some runway to plan, to create the vision for your photos, to procure props and clothes and find a location. This is not something to rush. So my photo shoot is at the end of May. I just met with my photographer like last week, 2 weeks ago, and we went through the vision for my brand, started creating a shot list. We chose a location. Now she's working on a final mood board, and then I'm going to have some time to go get some props, get my hair and my nails done, and figure out like how I want to look, all of that stuff. Having enough time to do that really makes all the difference in the world versus rushing it. So my brand strategy is guiding things like the location choice, my outfit selection, and I haven't fully flushed out most of this yet, so I'm giving you like a real-time look into what this looks like. But before I even met with my photographer, I went through and I refreshed the Spect & Co. branding a little bit. I created an updated version of the logo. I've kind of changed the ways I'm using some of our colors and made sure that that is really the style and the vibe that I want to lock into before I get these photos done, so that I can select outfits and props and settings that align. I'm probably going to get like some stationery made. I think I will print out a physical version of the Standout brand workbook so that I can have as a prop, and all of those things are ways that I'm showcasing my branding in my photos. And then again, building my shot list. This is something that I'm so grateful to Workplay for, is that they are really doing most of the legwork here when it comes to not only the shot list, but also the location. But I have a lot of input as far as, okay, I want photos of myself doing this. There's been some suggestions that they have made that I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really fit with my brand. And so having somebody to go back and forth with helps so much. And showing up to shoot day with a list of all the shots we need helps to keep things moving and make sure that we get everything we need, because we don't have forever. We have one day to get these photos, and I'm planning to use them for the next year, 2 years in my business. So we really need to make the most of it. And then finally, outfits and props. So this is something that I feel like I didn't drop the ball on with my first photo shoot, but learned a lot and could do better. I literally, for props, went to like Ross and just picked out some stuff that I thought was cute, and there wasn't a lot of like intention or strategy behind it. This time around, I'm thinking, okay, what are the things that I actually use every day in my business that I want to bring into my photo shoot to make it feel like me? And also, again, so that when somebody shows up on Zoom, they maybe see something in my background on my bookshelf and are like, oh, I saw that in your brand photos. And it just creates that little bit of familiarity. And then outfits. I, again, chose outfits that I loved and I felt comfortable in and that were things that I would wear in real life. Like I do actually still wear some of those outfits in real life 8 years later, but they were a little overly colorful for me. And where I ran into issues with that is I have since updated my brand colors. So they just don't quite fit. Right? I would have probably gone with more neutrals. Like presently, one of my brand colors is teal and like a purple. I'm probably not going to wear a teal and a purple shirt. I'm probably going to keep it as like neutral as I can and then bring my brand colors in smaller places where, should I rebrand down the road and completely change my colors, it's easy to kind of phase those bits and pieces out. So I'm really having a good time getting super nerdy about the strategy behind my photo shoot, the visual planning, how these are going to look across my website and Instagram and Pinterest, and making sure that they feel like me. I feel like, 8 to 10 years into business, after really like finding my footing as a business owner, I am so much more confident and secure in who I am. And I'm so excited to bring that to life visually with a team who knows how to bring that to life visually, if that makes sense. So when I tell you all these tips of things that you need to do before your photo shoot, I just want you to know that I am walking the walk. I am literally doing everything that I told you to do. And honestly, it has been a lot of work, but it's also been so fun to apply my own advice to my brand. And it's a good reminder that this stuff works. Like I'm doing it and I'm just so excited to see how it turns out. So I will for sure do an update episode after my shoot and fill everyone in on how things went. Now, as I said, photos are probably the most important part of your visual brand, definitely in the top 3. And this is why I am now including a brand photo shoot with my brand photographers, Workplay Branding, when you book an Ultimate Brand Experience with Spect & Co. I will link the details about the Ultimate Brand Experience in the show notes, but the Cliff Notes version is that inside the Ultimate Brand Experience, we do things in the right order. We start with brand strategy, then we do brand design, then we will plan your photo shoot, and I will be along with you every step of the way with Workplay Branding as we plan your brand photo shoot. Then we will do your website with SEO and copy, social media content and strategy to help you launch your new brand into the real world, and ongoing support to really help you get your feet under you and get comfortable using this new brand, which is going to support you for years to come. When you book an Ultimate Brand Experience with Spect & Co., you get the perfect blend of strategic direction and visual clarity. And the biggest bonus is that I am there to coordinate all of the contractors, everyone working in your business, to make sure that we're all working out of the same playbook to build you a truly cohesive brand experience. You don't have to guess. You don't have to go find all these people yourself. You just have to sit back and let us work our magic, because I know how important brand photos are to this process. And I know what a difference they make when it comes to building a truly polished, elevated, professional brand. They're the missing piece for so many people. So instead of making it an add-on or an afterthought or something extra that you have to do, I have built it into the Ultimate Brand Experience. So to wrap us up, photos build connection. They are more important than your logo. Do not skimp on your brand photo shoot. And also, make sure that you do your strategy and your design first. Make sure that you're showing up authentically. Make sure you get enough variety in your photos. Your photos are the thing that will amplify your brand if you do them right. As a little parting exercise, I would like you to just ask yourself, if someone met you tomorrow after seeing your current brand photos, would they recognize you? Would they immediately say, "Oh, I feel like I know you already"? That's the test. If the answer is no, it's probably time to consider getting some new brand photos. They should make people feel like they already know you. They should feel cohesive with your entire brand, and they should give you a library of content that makes showing up online feel so easy and so authentic. So if you've been putting off a brand photo shoot because you feel like you don't have your brand quite figured out yet, start with strategy, start with design. That will make the photo shoot feel so much more powerful. And if you want support with that, book a brand chat and I will hop on Zoom and talk with you about exactly what that could look like, options for how Spect & Co. can support you, and how you can get your free photo shoot with Workplay Branding when you book an Ultimate Brand Experience. Thanks for tuning in to the Six Figure Brand Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to rate the show and leave a review on whatever app you're listening on. And as a thank you, I'll send you coffee on me. Yes, I'm serious. As a smaller show for now, you taking the time to do this makes a huge impact on how we can reach more people and how I can continue to create this content for free. When you take a screenshot of your review, follow and tag me on Instagram at Spect & Co. I'll send you a $5 Starbucks gift card. As always, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources I mentioned during the episode. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week.